Hey, welcome everybody. Once again, we're back to the Jozabad Podcast, episode 4. Our guest today is none other than Albert Donald III. He is the owner and CEO of 80 Sports Group, and he's got a lot of information that he wants to tell us about sports world. It's going to be a good conversation for all you sports fanatics out there. Let's get started. Here we go. Albert, what's going on? How are you? What's going on, Albert? How you been, man?
Oh, my bad. I was on mute. I'm good. I'm good, brother. I'm good. I'm blessed, brother. Appreciate you having me on.
That's a key term for 2020. I'm sorry, I'm on mute.
Facts, right?
Yeah. Albert Donald, man, thank you for coming and making time to meet with our listeners here at the Jozabad Podcast. Man, you and I go way back, don't we?
We do, man. We do. Interesting story. And I mean, there's really not much to it, but we met randomly. It was in Edinburgh. I was at UTP at the time, and you were DJing. I don't know what the venue was. But man, I don't know how we connected, but it was just immediate vibes, immediately. You're a great guy, and so the energy was there, and we just kind of, hit. And I know we've kind of kept in touch throughout the years, but so again, man, it's good seeing you where you're at right now with all you accomplished, and yeah, I'm happy to be here. So
awesome. I think your story and my story, we're not done yet. We're still pushing forward, and we're trying to make an impact in our communities as much as we can, man. So Albert, man, I've been following you for about close to 10 years already. 2010, I believe that's about the time that you and I met.
Right.
And we've been friends on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, etc. You name it, almost every social media platform, man. And one of the things that I keep on seeing about you is just how much you inspire athletes, current athletes. So how did you get involved, man? Tell me about that.
Well, sports, man, it's kind of been something that I grew up on, from childhood going up through high school. Sports has been a big part of my life. And for a good part of that, my upbringing, that's what it was. It was school, sports, family, church, and so, the transition going from that to, as a actual occupation and servicing, clients, stuff like that. It was organic. It was natural. And so, yeah, it was one of those things where it's like, look, obviously every kid growing up wants to play professional, right? At some magnitude, right? You have that dream.
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, reality, right? I'm 5'9" on a good day. I can shoot, I can shoot like the best of them, but for me, it wasn't enough. So, but I always wanted to be, in sports and have some type of impact somehow. And so I was blessed enough to be able to transition from playing to actually being behind the scenes and servicing clients and different brands and businesses and stuff like that. So it's been amazing.
You mentioned height and 5'9" and I'm 5'6" and a half. Yeah. No, I'm just kidding. 5'5" and a half, right?
Hey, every inch counts, brother.
but man, I mean, growing up, one of the biggest athletes that I looked up to because of height was Spud Webb.
Yeah.
And the guy could dunk. The guy could, he had an amazing vertical. Am I right on that?
Oh, yeah.
So let's speak to that effect. Does height play an interesting role, especially like in a basketball, when we have, especially like athletes like Spud Webb? I mean, who limits who? Is it the height or is it the individual?
I think it's the individual. And I say this to this day, I still hoop, and so on the court, to be honest with you, I feel like I'm the tallest one on the court. And so, and I think that goes back to mentality, mindset. Because just because you're, 6'6", 7 foot doesn't mean anything. I'm still gonna compete, go at you, and there's no limit, And so I think there is a mindset now going into that, transitioning from high school to college or professional. There are obstacles and limitations that are put on you, without a doubt. Just from just where the landscape of the game is, where bigger guys kind of dominate. And then now that You look at the NBA, they're looking for guys that can do everything from one position, one point guard to the center. And so, the taller you are with a universal skill set, the more value you have to an NBA team or even college. And so there are obstacles being, 6 foot and under,
Right.
but, it creates a chip on your shoulder. And if you're competitive and you have that drive and, you're going to be able to kind of break through those and kind of make a splash. So you got guys like, Isaiah Thomas, was able to do his thing a couple years back, almost got an MVP, averaged over 30 points a game. And so you got guys here and there that are under 6 feet that kind of do their thing, and are able to kind of make a career out of themselves.
And so where we're at, we're in South Texas. It's called the Rio Grande Valley, right? And
Yeah.
you lived here for quite some time. Am I correct in
Yeah.
saying that?
Yeah.
And now you're like internationally known. But
Something like that.
but what I'm getting at, man, and we're speaking to that is that the mindset is an incredible thing, and there shouldn't be a limit to what you can do.
Right.
Nonetheless, almost the average height here in the Rio Grande Valley is about what, 5'8",
Okay. I can
and
see that.
and what we're getting at, I mean, because when is a team going to make it to state and win a state championship again? I mean, I think the last time one of our football teams won a state division title was 1960 something. Donna Redskins. I don't know.
Oh,
Don't quote
wow.
me on that, but it's been
Yeah.
quite some time. So, I mean, how does mindset play a role into getting to that accomplishment?
It plays a big part. I think, it kind of begins from, and it goes back to infrastructure, grassroots,
Hmm.
which I understand, that is there for the most part. And then being able to compete, at a younger level throughout, we'll just say, for example, the state of Texas,
Hmm.
getting that exposure. I think that helps in gaining confidence. So that kind of goes back to the mindset. Um, that because Texas is, obviously probably the biggest state when it comes to football, and so
Right.
the talent pool is incredible. It's so I think gaining that confidence would be the biggest thing. So be able to step outside um, the valley
Hmm.
and get that exposure. I think that'll be a key part. To where now it's like, okay, we're not having that, where we're scared or there's no fear factor. Obviously, there's always nerves, but you're going up against something that you've seen before. So I think that has a lot to do with it.
Additionally, on top of that, I mean, social media and platforms such as Netflix has created a brand new avenue that we had never seen before.
Yeah.
What you're seeing now is these athletes at the high school level starting to create their video packages,
Right.
that wasn't been done. It hadn't been done in quite some time.
Yeah.
I think we recently had a Netflix series that focused on a local uh, Pee Wee football team, and
Yeah.
you heard about that, right?
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. I remember actually caught a couple episodes. My cousin out of San Antonio, I think he coached one of those teams, and so I got to see that. I think it was like it was a team. I think it was like McCallum Mustang or something like that, and they played against some San Antonio team, Houston team, stuff like that. Yeah, so I did catch that series.
and so, what do you make of stuff like that? I mean, is it beneficial, or
Oh,
is it in?
absolutely, absolutely. Absolutely, because it just from that series. I mean, they were younger kids, and so that just instills confidence for one. Um, Obviously, the ability just to know that they can compete, right?
Mhm.
Um, is another thing, and I'm not to say that I'm not trying to downplay the Valley like they don't have athletes because I know they
Oh
do.
yeah, we do.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, once you step out and you're like, okay, yeah, we can compete.
Yeah.
We can get there, and I think overall that's what it is, and I think so that's huge. And then just the exposure, right, that it got, you know, um, I think brought some light down to where look, these guys can compete just like anybody else in the state. So yeah, I think
Oh
that helped a
yeah.
lot.
and not just football. I mean, we can have a whole conversation on just football itself, but I
Sure.
mean, athletics in a broad aspect. I mean, you got individuals that are fighting in the UFC that are here from the Valley that I've seen. We have
Right. Yeah.
individuals that are making it into the football arena at the professional level. We have individuals that are boxing at the professional level from here in the
Right.
Valley.
Right.
So there's a big genre of athletes that can be done, and that's where individuals such as yourself, and myself, step into leadership roles to try to continue to develop. I would assume.
Right.
So, when you were down here, you were focused on rehabilitative services,
Right.
uh,
Right.
and then how what talk to me about the transition that led to where you're at now with AD Sports Group.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's just a story, and I hope you got some time. No. But but no, I got into rehabilitation services because ultimately I wanted to be an LPC, right? So a licensed professional counselor, and I wanted to
Mhm.
be in the business of servicing people. So it kind of worked, kind of what I'm doing now. But when we talked about mindset and stuff like that, like I wanted to get into that world and to help people, become the better versions of themselves, right? Whatever experience, background, environmental, situations you find yourself in, right? Um,
Mhm.
that mindset, you can kind of get through that as much as possible and kind of be able to tap into what the ultimate person that you want to be, right? Whatever that may be. So I got into that. And while at the same time, me being who I am sports wise, I was fortunate enough to work for the Rio Grande Valley Vipers, which is the NBA G League affiliate for the Houston Rockets. And so that year they ended up winning the championship, which with the MVP, who was Michael Harris, who would then eventually become one of my clients, who I then became his business manager. Um, and and so it's kind of funny how it happened, because I was an account manager there, and then a game day operations, right? And so we the driver had an issue with something happened with the driver that drove the team to and from practice games, and he ended up getting fired. And so our president, Brian Michael Cooper, who we'll talk about later, because he was the president for the XFL Houston Roughnecks, who
Mhm.
I ended up working for this earlier this year. But anyway, so he came into the office like, hey, we need somebody that can fill in, until we get another driver. And so I was, what, I love basketball, and I want to see the behind the scenes and the players, stuff like that. So I was like, I'll do it. So that week turned into 2 weeks. Um, but I ended up spending, if you can imagine, I ended up spending a lot of time with these guys.
Right.
And it was an awesome 2 weeks. Getting to know them both on the court and off the court. And I was able to befriend a lot of these guys who would go on to play, small stints in the NBA, and just to see their success was awesome. Like Garrett Temple, he's made a great career for himself. He went to Sacramento. Now he's in Brooklyn Nets, and he's been there for about 5 years now. And so, he's been playing there for a while. And then, of course, my client, Michael Harris. And so that's kind of where that transition happened, where, or actually, no, let me take a step back. That following year, 2010, was the NBA lockout. Um, where they stopped playing. And so there were some infrastructure changes within the RGV Vipers and across the board with the G League and NBA. And
Mhm.
so I ended up stepping away, and just stopped working with the Vipers and got into banking, because that was also a part of my background. And
Mhm.
so I worked in banking for a few years. And so what ended up happening is that the guys that I befriended and got close with, I started managing their accounts at the
Mhm.
bank level. And then ultimately, eventually, one of my guys, Michael Harris, ended up reaching out and was like, hey, I need you as a business manager. And so that kind of how it spearheaded into, what I've done now, and eventually to 80 Sports Group.
Man, it's talk. I wrote this one word, and it's something called opportunity, man. An opportunity
Mm,
will come knocking at your door, and if you don't answer it,
right.
it's gonna leave. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I strongly feel just by hearing that one story that you decided to answer the door, man. Talk to me about that, man. I mean, like opportunity. I mean, you can only catch lightning once in a bottle, right? And in a
Right.
million years, something like that, man.
Right.
And I think that was your lightning in a bottle type of deal.
Yeah.
But that's not where we're stopping, right? You're
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
hey,
not.
so basketball, RGV Vipers, you were there. Hey, man, let me ask you this question because
What's
I
up?
just I just recently saw this whole series on Michael Jordan and MJ,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah.
I want to hear from you. You're starting five. This is the Albert team. Who's on
All
your
right.
top? Who's on your top five, man?
Oh man. Oh, that's so tough. Um, man, that's so tough. I've wrestled with this. Um, I wrestled with this question quite a bit, and I'm struggling. But I will. If you can see over my left shoulder, I got the LeBron James Weedy box that he just came out with, or
Uh,
partnered with for the first time at his 17 years. He was on the Wheaties box, so that's gonna be my number one pick. Um,
all
Now
right.
we could talk about the goat, whatever that may be. He is mine. So I'll go. He'll be my first pick. When it comes down to Jordan, Kobe, unfortunately, I'm out to go Jordan. I feel that they're the same too. So I'll go Jordan. Uh, and this is where it kind of gets tough because to me, Shaq was the most dominant big man in the history. Now, stats don't really show that, with Kareem being the leading scorer, Bill Russell having the most championships, and then Wilt Chamberlain being the ultra uber athlete that he was. I'm gonna have to go with Shaq. Um, and so from there, these last two picks is gonna depend on what style of game you want to play. 'Cause then it's like, okay, I can go Tim Duncan, who's arguably one of the best power forwards, right?
Mhm.
And that's completely, I got Shaq and Tim Duncan. That's gonna slow the game down quite a bit, And so if I'm playing in this era, it may or may not work. So then I might plug in at the four of somebody like a Kevin Durant, somebody that can obviously score from all three levels and be and 7 foot. So I know you don't want to hear this, but I'm gonna have to keep it at those three.
You're gonna keep it out. We're gonna come back to your final two picks because you're gonna be on the clock.
Because from a coach's decision, depending on who I'm playing, I'm a sub.
Yeah,
And it's from a strategic standpoint, but Jordan, LeBron, and Shaq are my three. Hands down.
here's your three, man, and man. Okay, so we're gonna come back. Like I said, we're gonna come back to that because you still got two picks left, and there's still room for cap. There's still cap space.
Right, yeah.
So so we're gonna come back to that, man. But let's talk about the current state of sports right now, man. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, I'm a boxing guy. I'm an MMA guy. I love fighting. Um,
Yeah.
but there's a fight coming up pretty soon, and that one is going to be an interesting one.
Mhm.
Tyson versus Roy Jones Jr.
Oh my gosh.
What are your thoughts on
Two
that, man?
two greats. You know, yeah, I've seen Tyson recently. I mean, the guy has not lost his hands. Now, whether or not he can take a hit, that's going to be we're going to see that, right? But I mean, it's a hit or not be hit sport, right? So if Mike Tyson gets a hold of Roy Jones and but Roy Jones, he was a power elusive boxer for what I remember.
Uh,
And so does he have that speed, and elusiveness, still? We did see at the tail end of his career where he tried to stay relevant and it didn't end all that well. I guess we could say that for Tyson, but um, I want to. I'm on the fence in terms of I'm not going to pick either side. I just want to see entertainment, and I definitely we will. Um, it's just that what level or caliber is it going to be?
is it gonna be a Nintendo version, Mike,
Right.
or is it gonna be PS5? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right.
Man, you know what? I get you, man. The tail of the tape for these two right now. I mean, you got Roy Jones Jr. at 5'11". You got Mike Tyson at 5'10" with a reach Jones is coming with the 74-inch reach, and Tyson's coming out with a 71-inch reach. I mean, the older one has got to be Mike Tyson. So,
Right.
so the question here is all that pot smoking that Mike Tyson has done, is it going to affect him?
Mm. I think there will. We all know Father Time is undefeated, right? So
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a level of he's that reaction may not be as what it was, but then again, he's not going up against somebody that's ultra quick or fast. What I assume, as he was before, so it may or may not even out. But I don't know, man.
It's gonna be entertaining for sure.
But look, Mike Tyson still is that shiny toy, so we're gonna go see. We're gonna all tune in to see if he's still Iron Mike. And so,
I don't think I think there's gonna be a lot of rust on that. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I mean, because what you and I saw was 30 seconds of like,
right,
and editing does amazing tricks on videos.
Right. True.
So I mean, it's gonna be interesting to see if Tyson can do something.
It will be.
My money if I was a betting man, but I'm a Christian man.
Yeah.
My money's gonna be on Roy Jones Jr., man.
Okay.
I mean, I like Tyson. I'm a Tyson dude too as well. But Roy Jones, man, he had that head buster. You know what I'm saying? I think he's gonna come out to that song first and foremost. The DJ and me saying he's gonna come out to Head Buster.
Okay, yeah.
You remember that song?
Hold on.
Let me see if I can put it real quick. Hold on.
Okay. Sorry, I think it was like froze for a second.
Yeah, I think he's gonna come out to that one song. But regardless of the song that he comes,
his song, y'all must have forgot.
It was actually one of the songs that I used to love to put on my playlist in my rotation when I DJ'd, man. It was I Smoke, I Drank, something like that. But yeah, man, because Roy Jones Jr. also got into the music business for a bit. Now, I don't think he was the rapper, but I think he was like managing some individuals.
Gotcha.
So we set our bid on Tyson, Roy Jones. Hey, man, NFL, man, who's your team and why?
You see it. I'm game day ready.
But is it LA Raiders, Oakland Raiders, or Vegas Raiders?
You see the name.
You gotta say, oh no, hold on.
And there's no city affiliation, man.
There's no affiliation. It's just Raiders.
It's black and silver, man.
Got you. You know what, man?
We travel, man. So we're all over. There's no city affiliation.
Okay, so are you a fan of Al Davis?
I think the guy was before his time. Right. As we find ourselves now, speed. It's a speed dominant sport right now.
Right.
And Kansas City's kind of got the blueprint, and everybody else is kind of modeling their teams behind that to a degree, in terms of like speed and scoring and fast, because we all know the league has changed with the rules and stuff like that. So it's a pass heavy league. And so, yeah, you're going to kill with speed and score as fast, as you can. And so with that being said, Al Davis was infamously known for drafting speed guys.
Correct.
And so he was ahead of his time. And so, I think, it was tough with the whole Brady Tuck rule in 2002. And that pretty much created a GOAT. And it was the downfall of my Raiders. Unfortunately, we hadn't, got back to any type of contention since then. And so he had troubles, adapting and trying to put something back. So, to answer your question, I mean, he's somebody that, is a major part of our franchise, and obviously being the owner. So it means a lot, and hopefully now that we got that torch lit in Las Vegas at the stadium, their Allegiant, us being 5-3, trying to go 6-3 today, playing the Broncos. We want to, and with the Super Bowl being in Vegas in the future, we want to bring it home, man. So
who's winning the Super Bowl this year, right?
Nah, I don't know. It's up in the air, man.
The Dallas Cowboys, baby.
You know what? I kind of knew that was coming. Hey, you know what? We do need America's team to win because we need something positive going on.
You
Oh,
know,
this guy. But you guys do have a great receiver in CeeDee Lamb. He's gonna be special
uh-huh.
in the years to come. But
Now, if CD Lamb was a part of AD Sports Group, would you be able to cop him, 100 mil, 110 mil, or greater? I mean, what? He is your guy. He's your client.
right.
What are you looking out for him? What is it? What's your main goal with him?
Well, for one, he's a high. I mean, his personality is amazing. He's a guy that I think the world should know. People should know.
Uh huh.
So first and foremost, I would market him as such. From a PR standpoint, I'd get him as much as possible in the offseason to get people to know who he is, which would then translate. Because I mean, I don't know if I'm pretty sure you've watched every Cowboy game, and he's special. And when he walks on that field, he feels like he owns the field, and he's gonna dominate, and he's
Right.
got that mentality. And so, I would put a package together that would really emphasize and focus on that alone, along with a philanthropy piece, and this is me just speaking. I don't know him, but
Right.
there has to be something that he cares about or he's passionate about on the philanthropy side. And so I would piece those two together,
Hmm.
right? Along with obviously along with his performance on the field, and be able to try to get him that money, man.
Man. Okay. So I'm gonna take it back to Ricky Williams.
Yeah.
I just saw this whole No Limit Chronicles. I don't know if you saw it.
I'm not sure. I'm not think
It-
I've seen some documentaries on, but I don't know if that was the
so
title.
so No Limit chronicles the life and times of No Limit Records with Master P and all that. One tidbit about me that you didn't know is that I was a No Limit soldier in my own mind.
Really? Okay. For sure. For sure.
Oh man.
I think we all had that moment. We'll make them say,
Yeah.
oh,
Yeah. No. We were about it, rowdy.
oh, always,
And
always.
needless to say, this documentary's on it's on BET, and it's a great documentary
Uh-huh.
because Master P, in his own mind, in his own world, he was ahead of his time. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Like he was a business guy. He
Right.
was he and he studied business, and when he came to that record deal, he says, you know what? If you're gonna pay me per album, then I'm gonna get you the content, and you're gonna pay me per album. So
Right.
they were churning all these
They
albums.
pumped out so many records.
It was hard to keep up. Like I was watching, I'd buy No Limit Greatest Hits, and then all of a sudden on the back of it, oh, coming soon, this. I'm like, whoa.
Right.
I got to get this album. Hey, you got the Mia X one. Let's trade. Let's trade.
Right.
And so he was ahead of his game, and he was able to capitalize on that.
Right.
However, what I heard in that documentary is that now he's transitioning into different areas, and he wanted to transition into the sports field.
Yeah.
So you got the record area, and you got the sports arena,
Right.
and Ricky Williams was his client. So
Mhm.
so what he wanted to do is he wanted to do almost the exact same thing. Is if you're gonna pay me per album, then I'm gonna pump out all this, right?
Right.
Ricky Williams had potential of creating his own success. However, as you and I know, he got hurt.
Right.
So now he's left with nothing, right?
Yeah.
That was the demise of that no limit, no limit
That whole
sports version.
situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So I mean, man, I feel bad for Ricky Williams, but I know he's doing well. I know he's doing good.
He is. Yeah. Yeah. From what I understand. Yeah.
So I mean, it's sometimes you just got to stay in your lane, right?
Yeah, for the most part, yeah, you kind of do. But there's like this appetite for athletes and entertainers to cross, right?
Right.
Athletes want to be entertainers, entertainers want to be athletes, right? So there's always this appetite for that, and so I think that's why you kind of feel like you can cross over, you know,
Yeah.
like they just announced this new basketball league called the Crew League. It just came out, I think last week, or they just started like a couple weeks ago. And basically it's the crew league, and rappers have their own basketball team, and they put them together and they play. I think it's like 3-on-3 or 5-on-5 or something like that. And so I don't know too much about it. I saw like some highlights, whatever. But I bring that up because it's like there's that appetite to kind of blend, whether it's rappers or just music, to cross with athletes and entertainers. And then so it's like the entertainers want to be around the pro athletes, and pro athletes want to be around the entertainers, you know. So it's like
Right.
these two worlds, these two colossal worlds that constantly are trying to collide together. And but it seems like there hasn't been, you know, one particular entity that been able to kind of encompass that all in one, you know. You know, you do have agencies, you know, like CAA, who represent both athletes and entertainers, but you know, they're never trying to do it the way like, you know, Master P try to do it. And, you know, so it is interesting because now you got like Jay-Z, who has his Rock Nation, right?
Right.
I think Lil Wayne has his sports agency, which I don't know where, you know, that's under, what record label that's under, but you know, so there's rappers that are trying to get into that lane. Of course, you got like guys like Dame Lillard, who, from what I understand, I haven't really listened to much of his music, but you know, they say he's a good rapper, and so you know, you kind of have that appetite, you know, but it's just it hasn't been able
Man, you know what?
to fruition.
I got all love and respect for Lil Wayne, and I loved him when he was part of Cash Money,
Right.
and coming up, you know, you know, he had hits, man.
Right.
But in my personal opinion, you know, once they reach that level of success, well, there's no more hunger,
Right.
and so you start putting out, in my personal opinion, garbage.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm gonna tell Lil Wayne, if he's listening out there, man, stay in your lane. Please don't get involved. Don't get involved with politics. Don't get involved with sports, man. Leave it alone.
Just be in music, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Give me back Lil Wayne with loud pipes. Give me back Lil Wayne with big timers, and
exactly. The Carter too.
Yeah. Oh man, the Carter, man, you go off on the Carter, Lil Wayne.
Right.
Yeah. Dang. But
it does exist though. Unfortunately.
No, that's truth. Those are facts, and you know, some of that has to do with hip hop culture. You know what I'm saying? Because hip hop culture is a big net that it casts. You know, you got rappers, and then you got the league, and then you got, you know, the boxing, and everybody wants to be a part of it. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, and you being well traveled, do you see that a lot, or do you not see that a lot?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. There's you definitely see that collide, whether it's music or just entertainment, you know, whether they're actors or whatever. Now we call them influencers, right? So there's always the need to be around, you know, athletes, and athletes want to be around people that are, you know, successful in their industries. So you do see that a lot. You see that quite a bit. You know, you want to rub shoulders, right, with other successful people.
You know, and I think we recently heard it on the Jozabad podcast recently. Like, I think we all want to be a part of something, but at the end of the day, we got to be able to respect humanity at its core. And I like a piece that you talked about recently. You talk about like marketing and packaging an athlete with part philanthropy.
Yeah.
Why? You know, and I think that's the reason why. Talk to that.
Well, and I think that's important because, you know, now that, you know, with social media and we're able to actually physically see what these athletes or entertainers, what their reach is, basically based on like their followers and following, and, you know, and their engagement. Right. And so a lot of these athletes they're fortunate enough now where they can use their platform to make a difference. And that's important. And that's something that you can reach out to your fans and make, not just seeing them on the TV screen, but now you can actually really like see, feel them, you know, hear them, breathe them. You know, you'll have access to them that you didn't have, you know, in past generations. And so I think that's important to always, you know, whether it's your hometown or whatever, you know, issue that concerns you or you're passionate about, to be able to use your platform to be able to tap into that and be able to give back. you know, and get with the people, you know, that are your supporters ultimately. And it becomes real to and impactful to people, you know. Small gestures, you know, are amazing. I saw a video, random video of Usain Bolt, and they did like a edited clip of him, like as he gets ready to, you know, run. He always like, there's kids out there on the track that kind of help with, you know, whatever it is, you know, before the race, and he would fist pump them or high five them or joke, just little small gestures that he would do, and it would just make the world, you know, to these kids. And so little things like that, who knows, that little, you know, gesture can turn into somebody now that's gonna, you know, become something special and probably do something 10, 100 times more than what you had. So I think it's important to kind of pay it forward in a sense, to impact the youth and individuals and families that look up to you. And so to make you real to people outside of just, oh, he's an athlete, I see him on TV every Sunday or a couple of times a week for the NBA, you know, to where, oh, okay, now he's actually real to
You're
me.
right. Yeah, brother. You just hit a very uh sensitive subject for me. You know what I'm saying? Because this is where politics, in my personal opinion, crosses path. You
Mhm.
know, in our world, we live in the greatest nation of, on earth, right? And
Yeah.
the United States of America. Nonetheless, 2020 has brought a huge a huge need to address items that need to be addressed. One of it
Right.
being the racial divide.
Right.
And the funny thing that you spoke to recently at the beginning, at the top of the hour, was you and I connected on another level. And
Right.
it goes back to just being real, just being honest, just being you know a good
Right.
person, humanity at
Yeah.
its finest. Now, where we're at right now as a nation, and I don't want to bring politics into this conversation because this is going to be sports related, but
Right. Right.
food for thought for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Are we really holding our leaders accountable? That's a good question.
Very good question. Very good question. And a short answer to that is no.
Yeah.
No. We aren't. We aren't.
So pick number four. You had
Oh, he had it. Oh my God.
you got LeBron James, you got Jordan, you got Shaquille. This is your fourth pick on your personal NBA team. You got you're on the clock. You got 1 minute.
I got 1 minute. Who do I choose? Hold on. Can I call a friend? What we doing? Do I have a lifeline or what's going on?
Use Google, man.
Oh, jeez. All right. Hold on. Let me all time greats, huh?
No pressure. 30 seconds.
All right. Let me see. Let me see. Let me see. Jeez. All right. I'll go Magic Johnson, man.
As the fourth pick, Albert Donner III chooses Magic Johnson. Now, Magic Johnson, man, hey, let's go back in time with this guy, man. I'm a Laker fan personally. Been a Laker fan for the longest time. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm an LA fan. LA
Okay.
Dodgers, LA. Never the Rams though. Never the Rams.
Yeah.
But my Magic Johnson has his own journey, but a very successful story as well. We're young and dumb. We make some stupid choices.
Right.
Obviously, he made his own, and there was that one time where he had to announce to the world his current situation. Hey, man, I'm
Yeah.
HIV positive.
Right.
Nonetheless, to the normal individual, that'll get you down. That'll put you down, and life is over as we know it.
Yeah.
Magic Johnson has been a businessman continuously, used his financial gain to make more money.
Right.
So let's talk about that. Thoughts about Magic Johnson, but additionally, on top of that, what do you tell your athletes about a quick financial tip? Go.
So if I can put this real quick, okay. you and I, we work 9 to 5, we'll say traditional jobs, right? We're not athletes, right?
Right.
So we work from as early as 15 years old all the way to 65, right? To create our retirement, right? And
Uh,
retire off and
that's
and
you.
15.
That ain't me. I got.
But traditional sense, right? Yeah, you're
Yeah,
special.
yeah,
But traditional sense, right? You work
yeah,
15 to 65, retire, blah, 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 401k, right? So
yeah.
you got this huge window of time to prepare for a short window of retirement, right?
Right, right.
So athletes are the flip side. They have a small window of time to then prepare for years of retirement.
Hmm.
So, I mean, we could talk about everything in between,
Right.
So with that being said, yeah, save your money, invest your money, smart, be a smart investor, um, and most importantly is do it when you're younger, when you can take risk.
Hmm.
So if you're, second, third year in the league, and if you feel like that you're gonna have, a successful career moving forward, start getting into something young. First couple of years, you want to save your money. You don't want to get into anything because you want to make sure that as you navigate the league, whether it's the NFL, NBA, whatever, MLB, you want to navigate the league, get comfortable, and find yourself. Once you find yourself, then you can start getting into something, investment wise, being smart, get with a really good, reputable financial advisor or firm
Hmm.
that's gonna put your money and make it work for you. And then you can start, kind of diversifying, and maybe you want to start some business stuff like that. But you do want to start early in your career because that window is very small, and we're not guaranteed that you're going to be healthy from one game to the next. And so you kind of have to take that into account. Yes, for those, and professional sports are, predominantly dominated by minorities. And so, there is that level of financial education that there's a lack. And when you're growing up and you don't have much, right? And then all of a sudden now you're overnight millionaires. There's an appetite to spend, right? To fill the
Yeah.
void that you didn't have growing up.
Can I bring my Uncle Charles? Can I bring my auntie? Can I bring my cousins into, can I can
You
I can I
you
pay them? Can I get an entourage? Because I need an entourage.
you so you can, but the key to that is to get a brand or a company that's going to pay for that.
Yeah, because I mean, you and I saw MC Hammer with his entourages. We saw
Right,
we saw all these individuals that you spoke to
right,
in that topic. I mean, that was something that was normally done back in our days,
right,
right?
right. Yep.
Because we got to pop bottles.
Right, exactly. And there's LeBron James came out with I think he executive produced, I'm not sure, a TV series called Survivor's Remorse.
Hmm.
And that speaks to athletes, and it's a real thing. Um, Survivor's remorse. When you make it and you get out, you feel bad. There's a sense of, gosh, I have all this money and I've made it. I gotta help this person out. I gotta help this family member out. I gotta, and it's a real thing. It's called, survivor's remorse. And,
Yeah.
and so that plays a big part of it because you don't want to seem like you're turning back, but at the same time, we all know the effects of enabling, right? And it's creating that crutch where now all of a sudden you got all these people that are relying on you. So now you're creating pressure and anxiety and all these other things. But yeah, yeah, it's an unfortunate thing, but it's real.
It's a real thing, man. But Magic Johnson was able to use his money, effectively.
Yeah,
One of the things I read is that he invested early with Starbucks,
yeah,
um, and that obviously we see how Starbucks, took off and continues to take off.
right.
Um, now most recently he's part of the owner, or if not the majority owner, on the LA Dodgers.
Yeah, yeah. He
So
had he had a big part of that, yeah, big part of that, and of course the beginning parts of the Lakers, and so yeah, he was able to do his thing. But it kind of goes back to what we were talking about earlier, is that how he kind of really started was that he went back into the community in LA and created resources and pathways for the inner city and the youth in Los Angeles, with his Magic Johnson Theater, and he had like I think he had like a LA Fitness or a 24-hour fitness, a Magic Johnson Fitness. Like he created a lot, and kind of built an infrastructure, not only just for himself, but for the community, and the
Yeah.
community supported him. And so, anything Magic Johnson, they were part of. And so it was a huge, give and take, and so he was able to impact LA. So he is LA. And so that's kind of how he was able to generate his wealth.
Yeah. 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 I mean, I'll tell you what, man. I mean, 2020 started off with some sadness in
Yeah.
LA.
Right. Right.
We're referencing the tragic passing
Yeah.
of Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
I spoke a little to this in my last podcast, but man, one of the things I'd say to this, man, it's like when we're talking about creating a magnitude of relationships within our community. I mean, Kobe Bryant impacted the entire world.
Yeah.
When all of a sudden before COVID, well, COVID was the thing, but it hadn't been let out the bag, so to speak.
Right.
That's another topic of conversation. But when that happened, like it's on every single news station. Can we confirm it's Kobe? Can we not confirm it's Kobe? Is it Kobe?
Right.
Is it not?
Right.
And we're here thinking like, yo, that's my dude. That's Kobe Bryant. Like
Right.
that's the GOAT.
Yeah. To some. Yeah.
Yeah. So that right there, in my personal opinion, that's monumental in the sense of the godly.
Yeah.
He never asked you to follow him. He showed through his actions. He continued to get into different areas of venturing out his brand.
Right.
But man, for an entire world to stop and mourn, wow, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. And so I'm gonna go ahead with that being said. He's gonna be my fifth spot, man. Rest in peace. We'll go ahead and make that the fifth spot, especially with Magic being my last choice. I think it's only fitting that we'll complete the whole Lakers Showtime with Shaq, Kobe, and Magic, and then Jordan and LeBron. Because now we got shooters, we get out and run, and we got grit, and we got guys that will dominate. But anyways, um, I tell everybody this. There's no such thing as a LeBron and a Kobe fan. They just don't exist,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so, with that being said, I wasn't a Kobe fan growing up because I was a LeBron fan, right? Um, but I will tell you the year 20 Kobe was special,
Hmm.
and that was a side of him that me personally, I've never seen that side of him as the mentor, right? The Still had that grit, the competitive edge, and it still had the ability to get you 60 any given night, as he did on his last game before he Mamba out, right? Um, but the inspiring part of him, and then was transitioned to the 5 years after that, where he would go around as a keynote speaker. There's videos to this day that I watch
Hmm.
as inspiration. Him kind of speaking to his mama mentality, and so now that kind of getting an insight on his mentality and his mindset, those 20 years all make sense, or 19 years makes sense,
Hmm.
um, as to why he was who he was, right? Um, and so, there's there's one quote that I eat on every day, pretty much. And he talked about like being able to take game winning shots, right?
Hmm.
And he said his confidence comes in his preparation, right?
Right.
So when he's put in those situations, it's nothing that he hasn't already done before, or trained himself to do. So right, so now we're just talking about a different team and maybe different amount of time to hit that shot, but because he's prepared for it, the moment's never too big for him. And
Yeah.
um, so I like to put that in the manifest in that every day, where my confidence comes from my preparation. And when you talk about opportunity, that's where that comes, is just being prepared. Um,
But additionally,
so
to add to that, Albert, I think I'm in a leadership position, right? And I
yeah,
think that. And w- yes, that's huge. But additionally, what I've learned in my personal lifetime, and it goes to the reading and attending seminars and so forth, is you have to have a plan of action. There's no way around it.
Yeah.
If you don't have a plan of action, you don't have anything. You got
Yeah.
squat.
Yeah. Amen.
Oftentimes, we see these individuals that just, crash and burn. But again, you look at it like, what was the reason behind that? And we're trying to make sense of it, and we
Yeah.
can't because there's no plan.
Right.
So one of the, I'll add to yours is, number one, create the plan of action. Number two, now I'm going to communicate that plan of action to my community.
Right.
And number three, I'm going to implement it. The last and final thing I'm going to do is I'm going to guide it.
Right.
I'm just gonna guide it and let it maneuver itself. And if it transforms into something else, then I'm gonna be able to say, okay, you know what? Is it aligned with my plan? Yeah, it is.
Right.
If it's not, then I need to go back to the drawing board and recreate that plan of action.
Right. Right.
Let's time out. Hey, why aren't you playing your role? Why aren't you staying in your lane? You
Right.
know, uh, coaching. So we talk about leadership. We talk about starting at the top. I mean, we can definitely keep on going. Sports transcends the ages when it comes to coaching, maintaining your position, playing your position, so many different things. Man, Albert, I love seeing you grow into what you have now.
Appreciate it,
80
man.
sports.
Likewise, brother. Likewise, man.
I think there's a huge bright future for you for 80 sports. Everybody who's your client definitely can always bounce back ideas with you, man. It's one of those things where you have a good aura about you, man.
Appreciate it, man. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So where are you at right now, man? I know you're
I'm in
not.
I'm in Houston, man. I'm still in Texas, but I'm in Houston right now.
Okay, you just came
Yeah.
back from somewhere, right?
Yeah, I spent 2 weeks in Dubai. Yeah. Was out there doing some consulting work with one of my good friends out of California. So yeah, I
Yeah.
spent 2 weeks out there, and I'd say, man, that place is probably one of the safest, cleanest places I've ever been. And it's gorgeous out there. It's an oasis, really. It's a desert. It's a middle desert with a beach, and it's a metropolis. It's like Vegas, or in terms of like high rises and stuff like that. Right
Hmm.
on the coast. Um, so it's an amazing city with amazing people, and the food as well is amazing. And so overall, it was an amazing trip. Met some great individuals, some influential people.
Right.
That's going to be able to kind of spearhead what we have going out there.
That's awesome. So you're in Houston, and where's home right now?
Houston is home. Houston
Houston
is
is
home.
home.
But they say your home's where your heart is, and that's California. Man. I'm a Cali boy, so but I sleep at night in Houston. So
Hold on.
see it already. There it is.
Yeah, I agree with you, man. Cali is home unless, but Cali definitely has a lot of things that we can definitely do better.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
I know there's a lot of people from Cali moving to Texas.
What? A whole lot. A whole
A
lot.
lot.
Yeah.
Most recently, I heard this individual that just came to Texas. He said, "Well, there's not a lot of people as there is in LA, and so like there's a lot of space." So we're
Yeah.
seeing that migration from LA to and I don't blame them. There's just a
Yeah.
whole lot going on right now. The
There is.
wildfires being one of them.
Hmm.
Um,
I heard somebody he brought up an interesting point, that I don't think a lot of people will speak to, but it's interesting that when you talk about the migration from California to Texas, there's a reason, right? There's a reason
mhm,
why you're leaving California to Texas, right?
right.
So the issue is, or maybe it's not an issue, but maybe it's something to speak to, is that, all right, well, if everybody from California is coming to California, are we going to make it look like the next California, right? So, and there's reasons why Texas the way it is, wherever you want to talk about policies or whatever that may be. But so it was something to chew on. It was something interesting, because it's like, that is a good point. You're leaving California for a reason, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
And you want to come to Texas because it's what seems like a better solution to whatever the problem is. But then it's like, all right, well, you know, um, do we turn it into the next California or whatever city that you're leaving? So it was interesting. I want to just bring that up because as we have more and more people come, what will that look like in the future?
It's gonna be expensive. I'll tell you that much.
Well, that's number one. Yeah. That's number one for
You know,
sure.
and that's something that I don't know how I feel about that because it hasn't really impacted me financially, but it's costly in California, extremely
Very,
costly.
very.
And we come over here and the standard of living is completely lower, significantly lower.
Right.
And I think that's what they're saying. I got a buddy out there that does real estate in California. And one of the questions that I had to him is I said, well, why don't you come and build over here and sell over here?
Right.
His response was, it's going to cost me the exact same amount of money to build. However, I'm going to get 500,000 in California and I'm going to get 200 in Texas. Why do I want to go to
Yeah.
Texas?
I guess I can see that.
Yeah.
I can see where you're coming. So we were talking about Magic Johnson, and he there was a documentary he was talking about as he was progressing his career and investing and stuff like that, where he said it takes the same amount of time to make 1 million that it does to make 10.
Mm-hmm.
So it's all about where you put your energy, your resources, and stuff like that. So I understand what his mindset and why he said that. But you got there's other factors and everything else that you would have to look at and consider. One being sustainability, right? If everybody's
Right.
leaving, and it might be good now, but you kind of have to forecast what is going to happen in the future, or as much as possible, right? But yeah.
Lessons learned for our kiddos, listening to right now. I mean, if you're 18 years old, 19, 20, I mean, you want to play that long game. You don't want to play
Yeah, for
that
sure.
short game.
Right. Right.
Because, all right, Albert Donald, man, owner and CEO of AD Sports Group. One final message coming from you, man. What do you want to tell our listeners? And before you answer that question, I have one last question for you, and it's it's a silly
Uh-oh.
question.
Uh-oh.
What game are you playing on your phone right now, man?
What game? You know what? I don't play games. I don't have any games on my phone, but on my laptop that I bring for travel
Yeah.
is Age of Empires. I'm a big Age of Empire fan, and so I
Uh,
have fun with that. Because I like games that I can just pick up and drop. So I really don't have anything on my phone that I play. I probably actually the most recent game that I probably played maybe earlier this year was probably is it Forge of Empires? I think it was called Forge of Empires. I think it was something like that.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah. So that would be the game probably. But yeah,
Man, I miss the days of Flappy Bird, man. It was just so simple, just
so
like.
simple, right? Yeah.
But then I think that transcended into Tinder and swipe right.
Yeah. I can see that. I can see the correlation.
All
Yeah.
right, brother. Hey, one final message to our listeners, man. What do you want to tell them? And do you want to tell them that you take your picks back, or I mean, I don't know, man. What do you want to tell our listeners?
I'd probably say never give up on your dreams, for one. And if there's something that you want, go get it, and don't let anybody or anything alter that path, right?
Yeah.
And that goes back to what you were saying about having a plan. But whatever it may be, I would say to my listeners, like, go after it. The story, my story started a little bit later. If you're a fan of Gary Vee, his story started in 2009, and starting a wine YouTube channel to where he is now as an influencer, a social media influencer. So whatever it is, just stick to it, and nothing happens overnight, right? And so be persistent, consistent, whatever it may be, and just stay focused and go get it.
Albert Donald, thank you so much for joining us today. Jozabad
All right.
Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. Albert Donald, everybody, thank you once again, and we'll see you at the next one. Have a great one.
All right, brother. Appreciate you having me.
Have a great one. Bye-bye.